Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
Little Hen says it's time to rock and roll.
All you people are so scared of me.
Come quietly or there will be trouble.
Man, that's just me.
I'm Batman.
This is Sparta!
There is a tiger in the bathroom.
I'm an excellent driver.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Pop quiz, hotshot.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
New lives with no more looking over our shoulder, and we're just gonna buy our freedom.
That's right.
You realize we're talking about going up against the most powerful guy in all of Rio?
Yes, we are.
Then we're gonna need a team.
Hello and welcome to this week's Monday Movie Show. I'm Stuart.
Hello, I'm Andrew.
Coming up this week we have two films to review, and Andy's taking over the entire show because he's reviewing both of them. They are
the sixth film in the Fast and Furious franchise, and the remake by Baz Luhrmann of The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, I have actually seen Fast and Furious 6, so I will be saying what I thought of it, but Andy's taken control over the main reviews of it.
Yes.
On top of that, we will go over the UK box office top 10 and some movie news as usual. You can get us on the live chat. It's in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. If you see a little bubble, just click on that and speak to us during the show. So let's kick things off, as we normally do, with movie news.
Assassin's Creed, the adaptation of the video game, has been set for a release date of May 22nd, 2015. Actor Michael Fassbender is still the only person who's actually been connected to the movie to play the lead role, and the movie will be written by Michael Leslie, but there's still no news yet on who will be directing, and there's been no real connections made either. So who would you think, because you like the Assassin's Creed games, don't you?
No.
You don't? I thought you played them and liked them.
I liked, I think it was Revelations multiplayer. I thought that was actually quite well handled because it was something different to the typical Call of Duty.
Yeah, something different anything different to Call of Duty, really. Yeah. I mean, who would you think then would be good to direct a movie based on a game? Not Paul Thomas, other than Paul Thomas Anderson. Not Paul Thomas Anderson.
You mean Paul W.S. Anderson?
Paul W.S. Yes, sorry. That's bad.
That's actually a good question. Booger's in the live chat. Hello, Booger. Who would you think would be a good director for a video game / movie tie-in?
Just saying that.
A lot of the ones which have handled movies to video game tie-ins, they can't handle them properly.
Could you imagine that? Just saying that, though, Paul Thomas Anderson directing a movie based on a game. It should be people standing around being moody and swearing a lot.
Yeah, it's like Lars von Trier or somebody like Tarsem Singh directing one.
Lars von Trier.
Or Terrence Malick.
Everyone would be committing suicide.
Or Terrence Malick. It's just, it'll be the most depressing video game ones ever. You'll see Mario probably shoot himself. It's a really difficult thing to do. You need somebody who's probably played a video game, who knows video games well, but then you can look at Paul W.S. Anderson, and he supposedly knew the Resident Evil series, and he screwed that up.
Oh, no, Booger suggested someone, quite an interesting idea, actually, Neil Blomkamp. I can't say his name.
Neil Blomkamp.
He can't spell it either, but
I know, it's a hard name to spell. Maybe.
Yeah.
But he's busy. He's just finished Elysium, and then he's supposedly working on the sequel to District 9, so...
But he has got that game sensibility. I mean, there's a thing in District 9 where they use a gravity gun on a pig, which is just taken out of Half-Life, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's just, you need somebody who knows the Assassin's Creed series well to get anything from it. So you don't need anybody who's worked on some like Prince of Persia or somebody who's worked on that kind of thing before. You need somebody who knows the game, who knows how to direct a character like Ezio. But it's a difficult question to answer. You could look at James Wan, who's directing Fast 7. He might have a go of it, because I know that he plays video games a lot, and so he knows video games. But Jon Favreau, supposedly he's played video games every now and again. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
J.J. Abrams.
No, he's going to definitely be too busy for the next foreseeable future. My other piece of news is that Christopher Nolan is rumoured to be in talks to take over from Sam Mendes as the director of the next James Bond movie. Bond 24, as it's currently titled, according to the Daily Mail website, so take that with a grain of salt, as you must, has has him placed as being in early talks with Eon Productions, the company responsible for producing the Bond movies.
You know how I felt about Skyfall.
You loved it. You absolutely loved it, and you're dying to see the next one.
Would I go and actually see it if it was directed by Christopher Nolan? I'd probably be a little bit more less wary about the film. I probably would see it more so if it had somebody like Nolan behind it, because I know his track record. Even though I now pick apart The Dark Knight Rises more so than the previous two Batman films, but it's his track record, his previous track record. I know how he directs, so I would might go to see it. But it would need somebody like Nolan to be behind the next Bond film for me to go and see the next one, because I just found Skyfall boring.
Okay then, moving on.
Yep, one quick piece of movie news before I read out my two main ones is that Brad Bird has says that he's interested in doing a sequel to The Incredibles.
This is, we were just chatting about this and whether or not to say anything about it. I tend to say it because that's really good news, because everyone wants to see. Do you know anyone who doesn't want to see a sequel to The Incredibles? There's no.
Because I would love one.
No, I mean, because we've talked with Following the Nerd, with Mark from Following the Nerd about this, and we're like, they're doing a sequel for Cars, or the spin-off for Cars with planes. And we're like, don't do planes, do Incredibles 2, because we want to see that. Everyone wants to see that. So why haven't they done it?
And we have Stuart from from Page to Screen in the live chat. And didn't Anthony Alex, who also does From Page to Screen with us, isn't he just interested in seeing Incredibles 2? That's all he wants.
Yeah,
a sequel to that.
It is the most wanted Pixar sequel.
Yeah, Booger in the live chat says he loved The Incredibles. So yeah, Brad Bird, do The Incredibles if you're listening.
Yeah, I doubt it, but
yeah, I'm going to receive an email from him tomorrow saying he's on board to doing Incredibles 2. So
if it happens in the news, we're responsible just by that. It's that whole thing of this rock protects me from tigers because I haven't been attacked by a tiger.
Yeah, well, speaking of Incredibles 2, Carl Urban has been discussing the possibilities of a Dredd sequel, despite the first film underperforming at the box office. Urban said, interestingly enough, I did have breakfast with Alex Garland this morning. It's not off the agenda. Clearly everyone has woken up to the fact that an audience has found this movie and loves it. He went on to say it's entirely possible, and if people want to see another installment, then they should be vocal about that, because it can be resurrect projects. In fact, that was what happened with Star Trek. They weren't going to do a third season until fans did a letter writing campaign, and they continued that series.
He's referring to the original series of Star Trek from the 60s. I'm all for this. I mean, you're all for it as well, is the thing.
Yes.
Because we both loved Dredd. I hope that if they do make another one, they're going to have to try and find a way to squeeze more out of a budget, because they're going to have to open up the world more, which means it's going to cost them more. Because even though that film was it wasn't a big budget, but it wasn't a small one either. It was more than 30 million, wasn't it?
I think it was 60 million.
Yeah, about 60, which is it's 60 million, so it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot by quality of what they got out of that film. But they're going to have to go more in the world and not just trapped in a building for a sequel, because otherwise, then fans will get annoyed with it.
Yeah, and the film, it took around about 40 million at the worldwide box office, but you need to add money on top of that for DVD and Blu-ray sales, where it seems to have found its audience. A lot more people have come around to it, which shows that there might be people will go to the cinema to see the next one, because they've come around to the film more and they've seen it, so it might have a bigger audience.
Yeah, I just hope that it happens in some form and we get to see it. I mean, I'm surprised the number of times they're in films like Riddick as well, which I'm glad there's another Riddick film being made, but I thought it would never happen. But I would love to see something like an anime series done, to anime quality animation done, to have a series of films of the characters, as long as they're voiced by the same characters. I mean, I'd love to have one like that with Riddick, because you had the spin-off Dark Fury, and I'd love to see ones like that with Dredd, because that's the kind of thing that would be perfect for it.
Well, I didn't like Dark Fury. I liked the Matrix spin-off ones, because they had a sort of like a Matrix collection ones where there was different animated films directed by different directors, that was handled pretty well. They need a studio like the studio who did Ghost in the Shell, a standalone complex behind them to get the world of Dread out there, or somebody, maybe it's the studio who did Dead Space, because the original Dead Space animated film was really well handled, so it'll be interesting to stretch it out a little bit.
It would be cool, yeah.
Yeah, and final piece of ridiculous news. Sony Pictures Entertainment have announced that they have bought the movie rights to the very popular Rovio game Angry Birds with a summer 2016 release date. Co-chairman Michael Layton said every studio in town would love to add Angry Birds to their slate. There are few titles out there that bring this kind of excitement, brand awareness, and built-in audience to the table. What was that supposed to be?
That was my impersonation of Angry Birds. No.
Yeah, tumbleweed. Major tumbleweed moment there, but an Angry Birds film.
Okay, you like that? You're going to love what I'm going to do for the top 10.
Oh, God, no. He's going to screw up the top 10. Right, let's get on to the top 10 then. At number 10, Oblivion.
I was just going to say, because we've been told that there's nothing sort of new to the top 10 often, which is true, because we just say the same thing every week. I am now going to rate the films by colour.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you just pull that out of a hat, a random hat of different suggestions, and you thought, ooh, colour? Let's go with that one.
About 5 minutes ago, yeah. It's something different.
It's something pointless, but I've already said number 10 is Oblivion.
Yeah, Oblivion, I'm going to go with purple.
And that's supposed to mean...
Just the mood of it. Purple.
You have to have a meaning behind it. You can't just blurt out a random colour. Oh, that one's mauve.
No, I love Oblivion. I think it's fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing the Blu-ray. I hope it has the IMAX version on it because it looks stunning and it's got a bigger screen. And I mean, there is, again, what more can I say? I love that film. And I love the soundtrack.
Andy is a mental case. Personally, I would flip around what Mark Kermode says about it because he thinks it's 2/3 a really good film, 1/3 a bit of an average film. I think it's 1/3 a really good film and 2/3 an average film.
I'd agree with that on the number 9 film.
Yeah, number 9, The Place Beyond the Pines.
Yeah. This is a very, very dark blue for me.
Oh, this isn't working.
No, I really like Place Beyond the Pines. Great cast, great performances. Bit too long. It's basically 3 stories which are interconnected, but the third story feels a bit tacked on, a bit unnecessary. The second story feels a bit like it needs more work. But overall, it's a very good film and a very good watch.
Now, The Place Beyond the Pines isn't blue because it's a pornographic film. That's to see what you've gone and done. You've gone and really infected people's minds in the live chat. Number 8, I'm so excited.
This one's going to be Neapolitan.
Will you just frick off with this kind of stuff?
Okay,
it doesn't work.
I mean, this is the one that we haven't seen. It's the Spanish film, which is a supposedly comedy, supposedly a bit of a political film that apparently doesn't quite work because it tries to mix the two themes. It's about a bunch of people on an airline when they find there's something wrong with the plane that's going to land and have any problems. So everyone panics and the stewards are trying to calm everyone down and supposedly hilarity ensues.
Yeah, and it's directed by...
I hate you.
Pedro Almodovar. That's the first time I've ever gotten his name right. I just wanted to do that because that's the first time I've ever gotten his name correct. And number 7, A New Entry from Mud. Now, you can't see a colour for this.
No, I'm not. But if people are expecting me to say brown, it's not, because it's not a bad film. It's probably my second favourite film of the year. It will be in my top 10 at the end of the year. I'm absolutely certain of that. I want to go and see it again. I almost did today, but just didn't have time. And I think it's Matthew McConaughey. What has he done to himself in the last few years? Because since doing Killer Joe, he just can't do a bad performance now. Even though he still takes his shirt off in this film at some point. And And the thing is, it's not just even him. It's these two boys that are in the film that it's about them, and they find him hiding in his boat, and they end up deciding to help him, even though he's evading some bounty hunters and the law. It's a extremely well written film. It feels like it's based on a novel, but it's not. It's a completely original script. I don't have the name of the person, the writer and director here, but the man who did this has pulled a rabbit out of his hat with this film, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's not getting a lot of showing in places, but I know that it's getting a draw of audience to it. So if it's on anywhere near you, go and see it.
Yeah, you mentioned Matthew McConaughey taking his shirt off, so every single film that he takes his shirt off in is bad.
No, because he took his shirt off in Magic Mike, and he was actually good in that.
Of course he's going to have to take his shirt off in that, because he's a stripper in that, but it's just when you said that, I was thinking. And
he walks away. He walks around stark, bleeding naked in Killer Joe at one point, holding a hat over his delicates.
I think Andy has a man crush on Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, and number 6, Olympus Has Fallen. Yeah, we knew that. Ryan Gosling and Matthew McConaughey sandwich. This episode is getting really dark now and weird. Yeah, number 6, Olympus Has Fallen.
Which is Die Hard in the Warehouse. It's
Warehouse?
Warehouse, yeah, that'd be cool. Die Hard in the Warehouse. Just do that, no. Die Hard in the White House, even. It's not as dumb as the last Die Hard film. It's a lot more fun than the last Die Hard film, and he has a gun. Sorry, I'm just trying to rhyme it. It's Gerard Butler's not bad in it. Everyone else is not bad in it, but I mean, go expecting just the cheesy action film, and you'll get what you expect, and it's all right for it.
Yeah, I'm not going to read what's in the live chat there. At number 5, The Croods. Stuart, you should be ashamed of yourself for typing that.
Yeah. The Croods, which it's amazing that it's still in the top 5 after being out for how many weeks now? It must be.
I think it's more than 7.
It's got to be 10. I'm sure it's like that. It's more than 2 months. Has to be. It's amazing animation. I absolutely love it. It deserves to be in the top 5. It's great voice performances as well from Nicolas Cage, of all people. And I loved it. I thought it was funny. Kids and adults will love it. And that's why it's obviously still doing so well.
Yeah, number 4, All Stars.
This is another film we haven't seen because of the fact it's a kids' film. It is rated U, so you know that it's the kind of thing that parents will be going to take the very little young ones with. It's about a group of kids who set up a music competition, dance competition to try and save their activity centre, and it's apparently very cheesy, very not especially funny, but good performances from the kids in it.
The Croods has been out for 9 weeks, by the way. There is one film in the top 15 that's been out longer, and that's Wreck-It Ralph, because that's still in the top 15. That's been out 15 weeks, that. Number 3, 21 and Over.
Which we had a disagreement over. I think it's from the people who wrote The Hangover. I think it's not as funny and as fun as The Hangover, which I like. I think it's nowhere near as bad and awful and tasteless as The Hangover Part 2. And if you like The Hangover, check it out. You'll probably enjoy it. See it with as big an audience as you can, because it's one of those films that the laughter it's an audience thing. But if you're not interested in it at all, like Stuart, you don't like The Hangover film, avoid it.
Yeah, just hit yourself over the head with a plank. You might have a better time by doing that. Number 2, Iron Man 3.
Yep, toppled from the top spots. I think it is the best Iron Man film that has been to date. I thought it was very well put together. I love the writing and direction by Shane Black. I think it's a great setup for Phase 2, which is the build-up to Avengers 2 in a couple of years. And I just... There's not a lot more I can say about it. I think it's really well put together. Avoid spoilers. Go into it completely fresh. And if you're a fan of the series, you'll love it. If you're a fan of the comics, you may dislike one element of it, but go with it because it's a great film.
Yeah, just to quickly mention, friends of the show, Menage a Geek, if you listen to their new show, their new episode, they go into it how people go OTT about how stuff from comics is not included in films. Listen to that episode and you will agree with what they said, because they do come up with a really good argument about it. But Iron Man 3, in my opinion, is the second best Iron Man film. Number 2 is the best, by the way. No, it isn't. It's absolutely rubbish.
I was going to say to you, you cannot say the second one is the best one.
Oh, God, no. And at number 1, and you went for Star Trek Into Darkness.
which you absolutely loved more than I did. I think that is down to me being a big Star Trek fan from when I was younger. I've seen all the series, I've seen all the films. I liked it, but not as a Star Trek film. I think it is a very written for the non-fans. J.J. Abrams' first Star Trek film was written for both fans and non-fans of Trek. Yet in this one, I just felt there was lots in there that annoyed me as a fan of Trek, and that ignored Star Trek, what we know of Star Trek and what Star Trek's about, and it just sort of dumbed it down just to be an action film. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because the action sequences in it are pretty good, but it annoyed me that it's not the Star Trek film that, as a fan, I wanted.
Yeah, and I had this argument on Following the Nerd where I says it's because it's trying to open it up to a more wider audience, and they're trying to get much more people to go and see it. Evidently, it hasn't worked so in its favour in the US. Over here it has, because it took more in its opening weekend than the J.J. Abrams' original Star Trek film. And Stuart in the live chat has just put Star Trek into lens flares. Yeah, lots of lens flare jokes because it's J.J. Abrams, but... Yeah, I really, really liked it because I went into it expecting nothing like a proper diehard Star Trek film. I had a feeling that it wouldn't be like that when you watched the trailers. It didn't have that feel to it. So I think I gave it a bit more of a better chance, and that's the reason why I maybe liked it a little bit more. But I'm just as much as a Star Trek fan as you.
Yeah, I think there's things in it that annoy me, because it's just like, we do this because we can. We do this, why? Because we can, not because it really helps the story. No,
it's not Jar Jar Abrams, and it didn't need the Borg. It just didn't need the Borg in the film.
That's the wrong century.
Yeah. Right, we're going to an ad break this time, and after that, we will have our first review of the night.
We are the Holocaust.
Hello Internet, Dalek Sex here. Now I'm well used to having too much in my mouth, but frankly there's just too much to tell you about Season 4 of We Are the Holocaust on iTunes and Spreaker. For a start, we've got some old favourites like foul-mouthed tech news from Joystick Discharge and mobile gaming chat when Sex talks about apps. We've also got a few new faces, such as reviews and industry waffle from the man in the video shop, and you can join us as we stalk the midlife crisis of gaming's finest in Cliffy Tweets. And don't forget the return of Holocaust favourites, such as Agony Uncle Newsbot and the Holocaust Literary Masterclass, the world's most depraved book club. Follow us on Twitter at WeAre with the letter R, the Holocaust. Tweet your real-life problems to Newsbot, Nooze, to have them answered on the show. And follow hashtag Sex Talks About Apps for mobile news. Live-ish, Sunday night, 9 o'clock, Spreaker.com, and download on iTunes.
Now it's time for Andy to completely take over the show and me to just sit back here drinking coffee and watching TV while he reviews two films.
I think, what should I do first? I'll do Fast and Furious 6 first, which is the latest in the series, directed again by Justin Lin, who directed the last three films. It's also written by Chris Morgan, who wrote Fast 5, the last film as well. You've got in there the usual returning characters of Dominic Toretto, played by Vin Diesel, and you've got Brian O'Connor, played by Paul Walker, the two friends who, after the events of Fast 5, spoilers for that film if you haven't seen it, they are sort of living in non-extradition country. They're all living a happy life, all families together, because they got the money from Fast 5, and the whole thing is that Brian and Mia have had their kids. Dominic is with Elena, and they're all there. Everything's sort of going fine until you have Hobbs, played by Dwayne Johnson again, who turns up to Dom asking him for his help in catching some other criminals that are kind of like his team, only a bit more sort of on the other side of the moral coin. He sort of adds an incentive in the fact of that there's photos of surveillance of the other gang doing their thing, doing their stuff. One of which the photos shows that Letty, the character played by Michelle Rodriguez, who's in the series previously and believed to be dead, is currently still alive and part of the gang, led by a man called Owen Shaw, played by Luke Evans. Here's a clip.
I'm gonna need everything. All the info you got.
You'll get it when the team gets it.
No team. This is gonna have to be me alone.
It's not that simple. The crew we're after, they hit like thunder and disappear like smoke. You going alone? You won't ever touch them. Been chasing this guy across 4 continents and 12 countries, and believe me, the last damn place I want to be right now is on your front doorstep selling Girl Scout cookies. I need your help, Dom. I need your team.
So they put the team back together with Tyrese, who plays Roman Pierce. You've got Tez coming back, who is played by Ludacris. And you've got Han, played by Sun Kang, and Giselle, played by Gal Gadot. The whole group are back from the previous film. And they then go off to help try and capture Shaw and his team, who are in London. And the movie then progresses from there, and you learn what's happening with Shaw's team and the team trying to capture him. It is the typical Fast and Furious film that we have now, with the loud sort of big car action sequences. It is the most convenient filled movie of the Fast and Furious franchise. There's moments in it where I was literally going along, oh, that's convenient, oh, that's convenient. But I didn't think that it was a bad film. I enjoyed it as a fan of the series, and I think that anyone else who has watched the series go in these past 5 films to be this strong in a 6th in a series is quite staggering and surprising, and to be this enjoyable. It's not the best in the series, I think, and Stuart has talked with me before this. I agree with him that the 5th one is the best one in the series so far. This one it's not as good as it, but it's probably as fun, and it's just got that problem of the writing is a bit you're okay, yeah, really that happened, and you're kind of all right then, fair enough. But I enjoyed it. I've seen it now twice, actually, and I enjoyed it the second time around as much. And if you're going to see it, try and see it as in one of the biggest crowds, because there are funny bits in it. It's genuinely funny at a couple of moments. And everyone who's around you when they start to leave and get up and leave at the end, don't leave, stay there, watch it after the opening, the initial credits, because there is an end bit which sets up for the 7th one, which is going to happen and is going to be a revenge flick.
Yeah, the way I've seen the Fast and Furious series, I feel like it's done a Star Wars. Like, it's split into 2 different, like, series in a way. The first 3 films sort of, like, followed exactly the same kind of routes. It's more about the street racing and stuff. And then after that, it's more about heists. It's become more of a heist movie. So since it was rebooted with Fast and Furious, and then you had Fast 5, and then you've got this, and then you'll have the final, well, if it is the final one, Fast 7, which is rumored to be directed by James Wan, then it seems to follow a different standpoint, and each one of the films has seemed to have lost this one in particular has lost its street racing credentials. There is a street racing sequence in the film, but there's only one in the entirety of the movie. There is only one street racing sequence, and the rest it feels more like a heist movie rather than a street racing film.
But that is what they did say, with the last one. They were trying to take it away from the street racing thing, which they did with that one as well. So I think they kind of have done what they intended to do, and fairly successfully.
It's like weaning a baby off a bottle.
Yeah.
And getting it onto proper milk. But I think it's probably the 3rd best Fast and Furious film, because I put Fast 5 as number 1 and Fast and Furious as number 2, because I thought that one was a really good sort of reboot of the series, a good way of trying to say to people, yeah, we're going away from the street racing series and going to a more heist kind of feel to it. I completely agree with the fact that a lot of the set pieces in the film feel really convenient. Like, it is really well, like, set up, like, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. So it's really convenient, and don't watch the trailer. If you've seen the trailer, you've seen everything in the film, including the ending. So it's just, I hate trailers which do that. There's, I think you also said when you went to see a film, there was like a 5-minute sequence took out of the film and put up the full film that you saw.
Pretty much the entire tank sequence. That's it. I saw that like 2 weeks before the film, and I'm just like, come on, really? Was that necessary? No, it wasn't. So if you've been to see Iron Man 3 at I think it's Cineworld Cinemas that we're doing it, then you'll have seen this preview thing of a whole 5 or 6 minutes of this movie. But that surprisingly isn't the last action sequence in the film, so don't let that put you off. I mean, if you like the series, I guarantee if you're a fan of the series, you've enjoyed it this far, you've followed it this far, you will enjoy this film. You may not think it's brilliant, but you won't come out and go, "Oh, I was bored for that 2 hours."
And Booger in the live chat says his sister went to see it this yesterday. Don't think she could see past the oiled up muscles. There was a
great joke about baby oil in there.
Yeah, the way I felt about it, because I said this to Andy, that I felt it was the Avengers without the superheroes. There is specifically a fight sequence on the plane bit, and you've got this big, huge, massive hulking guy. If you painted him green, he would be the Incredible Hulk.
I was expecting someone to make a reference to Lurch, like out of Die Hard with a Vengeance, because I was expecting something like that to happen, but it didn't happen, surprisingly.
It's sort of like... you've got Vin Diesel standing next to Dwayne Johnson, and then you've got this guy. It's like the evolution of muscle. You think that Vin Diesel's muscled up, and then you've got Dwayne Johnson standing beside him, and he's the next step up. He's like a walking muscle, and then you've got this guy who's just like, where the hell did he come from?
I'm just thinking that there's that bit in that scene as well where you've got Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson standing on one side, and that big muscle guy and Luke Evans standing on the other side. Luke Evans must have just stood there for a second and gone, "I'm really crapping myself here," because he's just this little sort of skinny guy standing next to these three massive hulks.
Yeah, and Stuart in the live chat there just says they asked him to be in the film, but he was too muscly. Keep on.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
We're not gonna acknowledge that. Let's move on to The Great Gatsby, which is Baz Luhrmann's latest adaptation of this movie, which it's been adapted from the book. God knows how many times. I think it's 5 times or something now.
Yeah, one version of it was a silent one, which was released in 1926, which cannot be found anymore.
Yeah, I mean it's gone on that long. It's coming up on 100 years as well. But it's his version of the film, which has the usual flamboyance of it all. The movie follows the character played by I had his name here and I've lost it.
What, The Great Gatsby, Leonardo DiCaprio? No,
not. It doesn't. It follows Tobey Maguire. His character in the movie, whose name I don't have, but he is the main character who is explaining how he came to meet the Great Gatsby and how he sort of, through his eccentricities, when he met him, he's sort of through this whole thing of that he lives in a little house that he has on the bay, and next door to him is this kind of big lavish kind of castle mansion-esque sort of thing, at which there are parties being thrown every weekend. This is in 1920s New York, and people just turn up there at the weekend for the parties. Everyone's just partying, having fun, and there's all these people there that don't really even seem to have been invited. They just turn up. Tobey Maguire's character gets sent an invite in to his door, delivered to his door, inviting him over for the party. The only person ever to have actually been sent an invite to come and meet the Great Gatsby. Here's a clip.
I thought I might see you here.
Hello.
I remembered you lived next door.
It's like an amusement park.
Shall we?
Did you get an invitation?
People aren't invited to Gatsby's.
Well, I was. Seems I'm the only one. Who is this Gatsby?
He was a German spy during the war.
Teddy Barton, Nick Carraway.
A German spy?
No. He's the Kaiser's assassin.
I heard he killed a man once.
It's true. Kills for fun, free of charge. He's certainly richer than God.
You don't really believe he killed a man, do you?
Well, let's go find him and you can ask him yourself.
So when he's at this party, he meets a woman who he has met previously at his cousin's house. He met his cousin and his cousin's wife, who his cousin is played by Joel Edgerton, and his cousin's wife is played by Carey Mulligan. The two of them are sort of leaving a marriage which isn't exactly working for the two of them. Joel Edgerton's character has a bit on the side, and Carey Mulligan's character seems to be sitting around in the house, and she's not really enjoying things as she's sort of expecting that she should. The whole thing is then sort of thrown into turmoil when I keep forgetting names again. I've said it as well. Tobey Maguire. I don't know why I'm not remembering Tobey Maguire's name. When his character is asked by Gatsby to invite over his cousin's wife because of the fact that he knows her from years previously and wants to meet her to try and reignite their relationship. It kind of then goes a bit weird and goes a bit in the sort of questionable sort of helping to set up your cousin, his cousin's wife to meet with Gatsby, even though he kind of has this issue with it. But by this point, he has then become good friends with Gatsby and kind of won over by his charm and his extravagant lifestyle. The thing is with this, I've never seen any of the Great Gatsby films before. I've never read the book. It is purely through and through a Baz Luhrmann film. He has this style that he loves to do, really flamboyant looks of his films and things that are really kind of extravagant set dressings. And this whole thing of you have the scenes that are set there, like you heard that clip, the party is outside on a pool. There's this sort of floating thing on the middle of a pool, and there's all people who are all having fun, exciting, and lots of people there. And it's a big grandiose look and grandiose feel to it. And it really does work on the big screen for that. I don't think this will work on the small screen. It has this thing as well that Baz Luhrmann loves to do, which is to use contemporary music in films that he does, which are set in previous eras. This one being the 1920s, and yet there's music in there that you have a pounding bass beat to it. Not so much as he has in his other films. There's other films that he did, like Romeo and Juliet, which I just felt the music was very out of place, and Moulin Rouge, which I haven't seen all of, but I tried to watch it, couldn't get into it because the music just really put me off. This is not so much of a distraction here. It's more in tone with it, though there is occasionally that moment where I'm like, oh, I'm taken out of a scene because the music I'm listening to is Lana Del Rey from last year. So it has that issue, that problem that I have with his other films. But I am saying to everyone, if they have a chance that are curious about this film at all, it should be seen, and it should be seen in the 3D. I didn't see it in the 3D, I saw it in the 2D, and there's moments in it where I'm going, you know what, I wish I had actually gone and seen this in 3D because that looks like it would have been amazing in 3D, or that looks like that would have really worked. There's a lot of depth to the visual style of it. There's sequences which are shot which have long-looking views over the bay, and the great performances in it as well that are what make it worth performance. Tobey Maguire has been said by people to be the weakest link in the film. I think he's not. I think he's perfectly fine in the film. Leonardo DiCaprio is brilliant in the film. He is this troubled character who is hiding something in his past, and it's a completely different character from what he played in Django Unchained, which we'll be reviewing in the DVD section, but it's just as good a performance. Carey Mulligan is probably the one that struggles the most with it because of the fact she has this hard role to play. Joel Edgerton. He has this character that he's playing, which is very stern and a big sort of important man, but finds out that things that are not as great in his life as he thought they were, and yet he then has to turn it round so he can then try and attack what he thinks is a threat. And it's all of these characters are quite well thought out from the book, I'm presuming, and they're quite well performed. There are some moments in it where the audience I saw it with in a fairly well-packed cinema, a couple of moments later on in the film, to do with this iconography that Baz Luhrmann has about a poster which has the eyes of someone on it, and it's supposed to be kind of like referencing the eyes of God sees all. And it's when that's happening in the film, a couple of moments when the audience kind of nervously laughed as if they didn't know what to do. That was a big problem for me because it kind of like, you're like, what's this? Why am I seeing this? It's not quite well developed in the film. But that is one of the only issues I have with it. All the way through, I thought it's a very good film. It's the kind of film that I kind of want to see it again, but I don't want to because I know if I see it on a second time, I won't like it as much. It's a sort of exhausting watch. But if you've got a chance and you're kind of curious about it at all, and you can stand the issues, as I said, with Baz Luhrmann, with the music and things like that, then do see this because it is a very good film.
Baz Luhrmann sounds like a director where if he does crack a joke, you have to nervously laugh because you don't know what to do.
Yeah,
he seems like an eccentric character, and he throws these eccentricities on the screen.
There is. He's very eccentric in that way, but it's not a comedy film. There's not many laughs at all in this film. There's maybe one laugh in it, and it's not even intended as a big laugh. It's just it gets to that point, and the audience needs that good, relief of the stress that's been built up.
Breathing room, a little bit.
Yeah. It is a drama. It's not a comedy, and it's about sort of this love and romance and such. But it's a very, very good drama. It has me wanting to look into the other Great Gatsby films. I don't know that it will have the same effect on me if I see those as this one, but I'm surprised how much I did enjoy this.
Well, that's what Baz Luhrmann done. Look what he did with Romeo and Juliet, because the previous Romeo and Juliet films are very serious, but he took that and sort of like flipped it on its head, had a musical to it, and it had these, like we've already said, Baz Luhrmann's an eccentric kind of person, and he has these flair and nuances to movies to try and give them a different feel to what we've seen before, which I sort of like give him a pat on the back to do that, because a lot of directors, when they do another version of a film, they always just seem to carbon copy the previous version of that film, and it just seems, I've seen this before. So when a director does something different,
it has made me want to go back and see Australia, which he directed, because there's one of those films that I'm just like, I might see that at some point. I've never really sort of been really wanting to see it, but now that I've seen Great Gatsby, I do really want to see Australia, because I think that from what I was actually tweeting with friends last night about the two, because they had seen Australia and haven't seen Great Gatsby yet. And from what I was describing, they said it sounds a lot like Australia. So it sounds like a lot the same kind of style and the stylings that he's done in there. So I am now wanting to see Australia. So I'm guessing if it's a similar kind of thing, if people like Australia, they will probably like Great Gatsby.
Yeah, Aaron Stewart in the live chat, he's been in a really trolling kind of mood tonight. He said he's seen the one from the 20s and it's very good. Yeah, there's no chance because there isn't a print of it in the entire world. It's just disappeared off the face of the planet. So unless you have the only print that is in existence, there's no chance of that happening. There's a trailer up on YouTube for it, but that's it. That's all there's there for that film. Right, that's it for the cinema section of the show. We will be back in a moment live on Spreaker with the DVD and Blu-ray section of the show. If you're listening to us on other places, then please do download the Blu-ray and DVD section of the show. So we'll catch you in a moment.